Boys are buzzing on a Friday night. Gameday Nation is the place to be. Welcome into GDN, presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. Alongside my tag team partners, Rhett Boyd and Dion Thompson, I'm Yaw Bonsu. Our game of the week, Toledo Christian, Ottawa Hills. You have two teams in the TAC trying to keep track with the other teams, but two teams, Coach Boyd, that are also rebuilding this late into the season.
Yeah, usually this game two between these two clubs has league title implications, but you just said it, yeah. It's a rebuild for both teams this year.
Cardinal Stritch, Maumee Valley, 1 versus 2 tonight. We'll have highlights of that game on Gameday Nation Overtime at 10, hosted by Mark Kuntz. But here's a look at what to expect tonight on Gameday Nation. Live look-ins. We have probably our most packed schedule of the season. You have 7 basketball games, and you have Anthony Wayne at St. John's hockey. But we also have our top recruit, student section of the week, top teams. But we also have our top 30 list. I can't wait to get into that. I don't know how you guys cut it down to 30, but they did, and we're going to show you that a little bit later in the show. But as for the schedule tonight, we have Scott at Rogers, Brother Rice at St. John's, Ottawa Hills at Toledo Christian, our game of the week. Anthony Wayne at Clay. The Generals have a path potentially to a Buckeye title. Clay trying to stay form in the Cardinal division. Meanwhile, Perkins at Sandusky, Columbian at Bellevue are our BCSN Erie games. And then we have Otsego at Maumee. But you take a look at that lineup. Brother Rice at St. John's. Dion has a lot of implications when it comes to the CHSL tournament in a few weeks.
I couldn't say any better. And St. John's, they've been up and down. This is a win that they really need to have tonight. You know what I mean? Brother Rice, full of Division I guys. We said it before, this Catholic League is a grinder.
Yep.
You know, you get, every week, you can't take a break.
A loaded slate on Gameday Nation. You know the action is already tipping off, so let's go to Scott and Rogers. This was our game of the week last week, got rescheduled due to inclement weather. The Rams on an 11-day layoff now, taking on the Bulldogs. Rogers looking for win number 8 in a row. Let's send it into the crew on the call, Chris Schmidbauer and Kyle Linehan. Welcome back. We're just going to keep growing the boxes as the show goes on. Top left of your screen, the game of the week, Ottawa Hills and Toledo Christian. Top right, Scott and Rogers. And then at the bottom, you have St. John's and Brother Rice. Dion, you know how we rock. You pick a game, we go to that game. What you got?
All right, I'm going to say this because allegedly I'm non-committal. You know what? I do want to do this.
I've heard that a few times.
Yeah, I was on his head.
That's why you moved miles away from home for a job and met the girl, right?
Listen, I do want to go to that Ottawa Hills TC, and I'm going to tell you why. The crowd is crazy there. Nice student sections. Let's go there.
All righty, Mason Lowry, Darren Cohn, what you got? And now it's a $4. Okay, guys. You guys.
Let's hang out here.
Let's talk Anthony Wayne Clay a little bit, because we were talking about Anthony Wayne earlier. This is a big game for them. You know, last Friday on their home floor, they got beat by what at the time people thought was an upset of Northview. Went in and beat them by double figures. They responded the next day and beat a Liberty Center team, which is good to see that response.
That loss to Northview, and it's not a knock on Northview.
No,
you said all the time, y'all. You know, Coach McDonald's probably doing one of the top jobs in the area.
With how young that team is and the wins.
Yes.
He's starting 2 seniors. The other night, he started 2 seniors, a sophomore, and 2 freshmen, with 2 sophomores coming off the bench as your 6th and 7th guy. They beat Anthony Wayne on the road last week. They turned on. They beat Perrysburg at home on Tuesday night. You know,
I'm gonna tell you why I wasn't surprised. We've been sitting here. We talk about every week. They've been in pretty much every game they've played. They just came up short at the end because they're winning. I'll go ahead, y'all.
Snap. The $6. No, I'm just excited.
No, y'all.
I like when we got the $6 going on. Come on.
Hey, shouts out to the guys in the back. You know what I mean? We lose all train of thought around here when something special happens. In case you haven't noticed,
I'm overstimulated because we got 6 games on right now. Last week we had 2, and then we had some talking heads here last week with the coaches.
Yep.
Listen, guys, how can you not, if you're at home, sitting at home, get a beverage, get some wings, this is where it's at right here.
I do got to give a disclaimer, though. We do not have a $7. Our team is great, but sometimes the tech doesn't allow for a $2. I know we're trying to figure out a way, but in case you don't see a $7, that's why. I do want to ask about that real quick before we toss to another game. Weather. right? You have a team like Rogers on an 11-day layoff. Meanwhile, you have other teams that are rescheduling. For example, Central Catholic girls basketball, 3 wins in 3 days. I'm curious the impact you think that has on teams, whether that's having a long layoff or having such a tight, compact schedule within a week.
Well, as far as Rogers goes, obviously it's not affecting them at all.
That's not impacted. Yeah, 42. that escalated very quickly.
Yeah, so, there's different ways to look at it. I mean, there are times you really need the extra practice time to sharpen up a couple things. But after a while, your kids need a game.
All righty, back to the 6 box. Coach Boyd, pick a game. Oh, snap, that's 7 boxes.
Wait.
Hold on. All righty, man, I don't know how our team does it. The box within the box. It actually looks pretty good with that close-up shot right there. You see these 2 close-up shots? Yeah, our crew cooked on that one. No question about it. I would say pick a game, Coach Boyd, but I'm liking where we're at right now.
Yeah, let's just sit and watch what's going on here, man. I tell you what, I said I was overstimulated with 6, now you got 7.
I don't know how they did it. I mean, this crew.
Hats off to the crew in the back.
Yeah. Somebody has like a 70-inch TV or something like that. What, man?
I do want to see that. I do want to see that. Somebody, nice. Gameday Nation, or even one of these local restaurants, right? Just huge screen with Gameday Nation, all of our beautiful faces on it, or all of our beautiful boxes, I should say.
My son at school, my son goes to Northview, and at lunchtime, they got BCSN all the time. They're watching games at lunchtime all the time.
Oh, beautiful. That's what it's all about.
That's what we want to see.
You get to see the best matchups. All right, Ottawa Hills, Toledo Christian, big rivalry matchup. 2 teams trying to keep up with the other teams in the attack. Of course, we have 1 versus 2. Maumee Valley Cardinal Stritch, highlights on Gameday Nation overtime at 10, but we got the Green Bears and the Eagles, and you have a wedgie at the hoop.
That pretty much explains how this game's going offensively for both teams. 11-7 in the second.
I do like the whiteout, though. That's pretty nice. All right, we got more action after the break. You're watching Gameday Nation, presented by Renewal by Anderson and your local wedgie. A better way to a better wedgie, or window, or backboard. We'll be right back. All right, so we have the 2 box, right? Yeah, please. Okay,
I got to ask y'all a question, all right? You still sure about Anthony Wayne wanting St. John's in the first
Number 1,
round?
It's early. Anything can happen. It's a game of runs. We just saw St. John's go on a run to close the half against Brother Rice, albeit the Titans still trail. But
hold on, I'm writing that down.
It's a game.
Right.
Hold on, write that down.
No, I'm not saying Anthony Wayne's going to win. I'm saying it's a game of runs. Brother Rice took a 34-28 lead into the locker room over St. John's. We're going to show you some of the highlights, because although the Titans got a run late in the half to close the gap to 6 heading into halftime, Coach Boyd, when you look at the role players for St. John's, doesn't seem like the Titans had a lot of support in that first half.
Not in the first half, but when you look at this game, Ethan James has really stepped up for St. John's. Obviously, the second leading scorer. He's got 11 at halftime. Ray Kowalczyk was held to 4, so they got to find a ways to get him going here in the second half. But Greg Graves, the leading scorer for Brother Rice coming into the season from last year, he had 19. That's a young man that's going to be going to Detroit Mercy.
Yes, sir. We are in the Media Center, presented by Stotzenberger College. Fast track your career and apply at sctoday.edu. If you want to win Student Section of the Week, all you have to do, tag us on social media, BCSN Sports on X, Facebook, hashtag SSOTW. Tonight, Toledo Christian was our Student Section of the Week. Our very own Caleb Spinner was there. We'll bring you that story later in the show. But first, we got to talk about the Eagles. Can the Eagles fly back to win over Ottawa Hills? Remember, Old Hills took this matchup back in mid-December, trying to go 2-0 against TC this season. 2:36 to go. Let's send it in to the crew on the call. All right, we have our quad box games in crunch time. Wow, all these games are close. All these games are within 3. Anthony Wayne took the lead. Somehow, General's up by 1 over Clay and just drew a charging foul with 3:19 remaining. All right, so in the top left, Anthony Wayne up 1 over Clay. Dion, I know you love that. Meanwhile, top right, Otsego over Maumee up by 3 with 1:14 to go in the 4th quarter. In the bottom right, Perkins and Sandusky. Perkins, undefeated, down by 1 to Sandusky, its rival, with 4:10 to go. And then in the bottom right, more BCSN Erie action. Columbian up by 5 over Bellevue with under 2 to go. All right, we have potential to see a major upset in the bottom left. However, in the top right, we have a minute to go between Otsego and Maumee. I'm conflicted. I don't know where we should go. Any suggestions?
Yeah.
All right.
We're having a Clay Anthony Wayne. We got, and then break.
Okay, third break. Otsego and Maumee. Let's send it there. Jason Griffin and Jim Stroll. Alrighty, back to the quad box. Anthony Wayne still up 1 over Clay, 3 minutes to go. Meanwhile, bottom right, Bellevue is in a timeout, down 3 to Columbia, and 1:27 to go. Bottom left, Perkins back up 1 over Sandusky, trying to keep the undefeated season alive, 2:44 to go. And then in the top right, Otsego at the free throw line looking to ice the game. First free throw was no good. 40 seconds to go. We'll see if they can make the second. Cannot. Otsego will get the ball back though, up 3 over Maumee. Okay, we can float audio between 4 of these games, so let's start in the bottom left with Perkins and Sandusky. Sandusky up 2, looking to give Perkins its first loss of the season, 2:21 to go. Alrighty, top right of your screen, Otsego, another opportunity to ice the game at the free throw line, up 3 over Maumee. Bottom right, Columbian, a chance for it to ice the game, up 4 over Bellevue, 30 seconds to go. Bottom left of your screen, Sandusky on the verge of giving Perkins its first loss of the season, 1:35 to go, Sandusky up 2. And in the top left, Anthony Wayne and Clay, both teams need the game, 1:22 to go, game tied at 48. Meanwhile, in the bottom left, let's send it into that game. Down the stretch, what a block! Oh my! Oh my!
Well, they got a good look on the other end, did Sandusky. They failed, but right now Davey attacks glass. Good crossover.
Nice job by Groot with the defensive.
Right side of your screen, Jackson Juranovic had a layup to give Anthony Wayne a 50-48 lead. And then on the other end, Grant Oberdick, a mid-range shot to tie the game at 50. Absolute cinema. Meanwhile, on the left side of your screen, you have Perkins down 2 to Sandusky. Sandusky up 42-40 with under a minute to go. Right side, crossover NLL action, 8.6 remaining in the game. We'll see what happens. Let's send it into the crew on the call. Sandusky beats Perkins 46-42. Perkins 15-0? Not anymore. The Pirates 15-1 after the rivalry game loss. Trust me, we'll break it down. Just give us a quick break. You're watching Gameday Nation presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Gameday Nation. Yaw Bonsu with you alongside Rhett Boyd and Deion Thompson. What a night of action. St. John's taking down Brother Rice 65-63. Race Kowalczyk 15 points in the second half alone. Deion, it was a game that the Titans needed and the Titans got.
Man, they needed it bad. And what they got tonight, too, was contributions from Goodnow. He had 10.
Mind you, this is a Brother Rice team that came into the day tied for first in the CHSL. So no slouch, as Rhett and Deion were saying at the start of the show. The Titans getting a big-time win to shake things up a bit in the Catholic League, but also a big-time barn burner of a crossover NLL matchup between Anthony Wayne and Clay, the Generals, off a game-winning shot at the buzzer by Ethan Robinson, taking the win 62-60 over the Eagles. Remember, the Generals were down 10 and tough it out for a win.
They did, and that's what you got to do, especially on the road. And look, we're in kind of the dog days right now of the season.
Does it get better than having a team in the background?
You guys know that's my favorite part of it. I love this new trend, young guys. Keep it popping.
Yeah, look, they're all going to move on. And whether it's at different universities, in life, some might stay local, some might move away. There is nothing better than being with your guys that you grind with, not just this season, not just in high school, but you grew up with. And for them guys to be able to experience that, that kind of high together, that's something they're going to look back when they're 30, 40 years old and just smile and relish, like, man, those were the days, those were the times. So for everybody out there, boys and girls, embrace the opportunity you have right now, because you'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
Alrighty, it's about that time to reveal our BCSN top 30 on the boys and girls side. We have that after the break. We'll be right back. Alrighty. It's a very exciting time. It's time to reveal our BCSN top 30 on both the boys and girls side. We're going to begin with the girls. Drum roll, please. Release them. Our BCSN Top 30 Girls. Here it is, the first team all BCSN Top 30 Girls basketball players. You may be asking, how did we come up with this list? It comes after input from high school coaches in the area, BCSN play-by-play announcers, basketball analysts, and of course, Rhett and Dion. Guys, your initial reactions to the list.
I know if I had those names on my team, we would have won a lot of games. My hair wouldn't be starting to turn gray.
Callie Cox, also part of that big three, 13 points per game this season.
Yeah, a young freshman who's burst upon the scene for Northview, and she gives them a relentless motor on both ends of the floor, great athleticism, her ability to drive the basketball and finish. She can also knock down the three that we saw there, but she makes everybody around her better. As a distributor and a facilitator, a big reason why Northview's had the season that they've had, because when Grace Crowell, Jenna Claus gets a lot of attention, and Kelly Cox makes you pay. She's the maestro, she's the orchestrator.
Meanwhile, a pretty good 2 days at Genoa after hitting 1,000 career points. McKenna Moritz making an appearance in the top 30.
Yeah, 1,000-point score for Genoa, and I reached out and talked to some coaches about her, and here's how they describe her: bulldog, tough, power, physical, a confrontational driver to the rim, and someone with a soft touch. You can knock down the three as well. Genoa Comets burst upon the scene from a local perspective. People starting to take notice of them, as they should. They beat Start earlier this year. She's the big reason why.
Let's go to Delta with someone who's been under the radar, but a huge part of why the Panthers are 16-2, and Anna Lohman.
Yeah, a taller guard, a matchup nightmare, and for her size, she has a great handle with the basketball in a burst. She has great acceleration. You see there finishing at the rim. She can stretch the floor as well, and she is an outstanding, great court vision, great basketball IQ. She makes everybody around her better. Delta, 14-2 on the year. Anna Lohman leading the way.
And finally, to Patrick Henry, Karis Crossland was our top recruit earlier in the season. Brandon Carnes had that story, and now, fittingly, she's a BCSN top 30 player.
Yeah, comes in averaging 16 points a ball game, a 3-level score, and a great two-way player. Excellent on the defensive end as well, a 4-year starter, and also a track star. Holds a school record, 200-meter record holder, an all-around outstanding athlete for the Lady Patriots.
The great basketball minds in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan have a very difficult job to bring this list down to 10 and eventually 5. But congrats to all the honorees, top 30 on the girls' side. But now let's get into the top 30 on the boys' side. Let's take a look at the top 30 guys. Another loaded list, Coach Boyd.
Yeah, it really is, and I think with some of these guys that maybe you've heard of who've really elevated their game from one year to the next. I look at a Caden Kennard on there from Central Catholic, averaged about 10 points a game last year, up to 18 this year. leading them to an outstanding season along with Manny Johnson. Devin Silva, a guy I love from Otsego, a pure scorer, a good jump shooter, having a big year for the Black Knights as we saw here tonight on Gameday Nation.
Dion, you got to like this list. A lot of loaded players. Yo.
Like I said, once again, there's some guys left off, but it's not just our call. But Tyson Bowers have an outstanding year. Obviously, you see Walter Plant on that list, Traden Booker. Like, this is a really, really good list. And what's really scary is we left off some guys.
Yeah.
But we're going to start right here with this guy right here by the name of Sean Foster, one of the top, if not the top player in Ohio for the class of 2027. What he's changed this year is he has a nice jump shot. He used to just be a dunker coming in as a freshman. Now he's a general, a leader, and he's got one more year to go, guys. Hey, look out for his cousin. And all you got to do is watch IG. That's Willie Foster, who's about to come through jumping with him.
All righty, 9 schools have at least 2 players in the top 30. Lima Senior is one of them. Along with Sean Foster, you have Willie Foster as well.
Well, you just see right there. I mean, all you got to do is go to IG, type in Willie Foster, and I promise you, this guy has a highlight reel waiting to happen. He's going to Northern Kentucky, Division I college. He's another guy. He's a reason why this Lima Senior team is the top in our area. And let's call it right now. They're going to be very tough to beat in the City League. They are a City League team, by the way, folks. So if you get a chance to get out and watch them, they're here. Look what Willie does. Just a super athletic guy, and he's had a good year so far.
Lima Senior 10-1. The Fosters are a big reason why. But when we think about the top 30, you think about some of the most exciting players in the area. When you head over to Maumee Valley Country Day, you have a dog averaging 20 points, 5.5 dimes per game, and his name is Kieran Stokes.
You said it best. Kieran Stokes, probably about 5'7", and I'm being generous, but this guy can score on all 3 levels. He defends really well. He is the reason why Maumee Valley is winning. They're going to win the TAC this year, and he's been good for a very long time. He's a player that has a high motor. Look what he does defensively. And I swear, this guy's in the best shape probably of any guard around here.
Maumee Valley, a huge matchup with Cardinal Stritch tonight, taking that win 1 versus 2 in the TAC. Meanwhile, we spoke about Genoa and McKenna Moritz on the girls' side, but the guys have a different animal in Walter Plants, who also makes the top 30.
Hey, Walter Plants, the guy's going to Ashland University, super strong in that league. He's a throwback player, as I like to call him. He does so much for this team. He's about 6'6", 6'7", does everything. Block shots, can score. He's a 3-level scorer as well, and he's the reason why these Genoa Comets are undefeated in that league out there.
Plants 22 points, 10 boards, and 4 blocks per game, and of course Genoa is 13-0. Let's go to the NLL. 6 players from the league made the top 30, including Southview's Jerron Witcher.
Well, he's Mr. Double-Double right here, and Jerron Witcher's been around for a very long time, super strong, difficult matchup for guys because he can take you inside. You send a small guy on him, he'll drop you down in the post. Big guy, he can knock down the shot. Super athletic. Like I said, he's Mr. Double-Double for Sylvania Southview.
Witcher's been magical this season, 19 points, 9 boards per game. And finally, Preston Snyder.
Hey, Red, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
There's a guy that scored 1,000 points, 554 assists, 230 steals. There's been 2 guys in the history of Lake to do it. Do you know him?
No.
They're both named Preston Snyder. Nobody has up. They've only had 4 1,000-point scores, but Preston is a guy we don't see much, but he's a 4-year starter, and he's the reason why they're 12-2 right now. I mean, hey, take a look. Like I said, he's been very good for a very long time, and he can score even more, but he's so unselfish. You heard it right. 554 assists, 230 steals. That's a career, plus a 1,000-point score.
Anthony Wayne, Perrysburg, St. Francis, and St. John's are the schools with exactly 2 players on the boys' side on the top 30 list. You have Central Catholic and Rogers, a surprise there. Rogers getting 3 players into the top 30 says a lot about the City League beyond just Lima Senior.
Yeah, Coach Rob Martin, he's figured out he has a 3-headed monster. We thought it was 2 at first, but he's developed some guys, and they're playing really well right now, Coach.
Yeah, they really are. And we heard, Trey Booker. Well, then O.J. Waller burst upon the scene last year as a freshman. And then you got Delvin Stone, who just night in and night out just provides that consistent double-digit scoring. And when you got 3 guys who can get you double figures every night, you're going to win a lot of ball games. That's why Rogers is a little bit under the radar. We don't talk about him a whole lot. We don't get to see him a whole lot. But they've been outstanding, having a great year.
And as we all know, there's more than 30 great players in the area. But for 31, 32, 33, just real quick, take us inside your minds as you're going through how to decide who makes the top 30. What mattered to you at the end of the day?
Some of my guys didn't make it. but this is what I looked at, honestly. I looked at, obviously, the top guys. And then when we start, we had a huge list. Then I said, with this guy, how would he play in this league? And that's how I kind of looked at it. That's how I made my decision, Coach.
Yeah, obviously, stats kind of get your attention, but then you evaluate it far from that. It's just not about numbers. It's about, what do you do for your team? What do they ask of you? Do you respond night in and night out from a consistency standpoint? What kind of competition are you playing against?
Yeah.
How do you handle that competition? Strength of schedule, dictates, a lot. So maybe, somebody might average more points per game, but they're not playing the same level of competition. The guy that might average a few points less, but playing in a much tougher, schedule. So you just kind of take it all in consideration.
Iced out like a Paul Walsh. You better stop playing with me. Back in the Gameday Nation Media Center, and it's brought to you by Stoltenberger College. Fast track your career at sctoday.edu. Let me get that grill, too. It's time for the student section of the week, brought to you by Unison Health and the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Lucas County. Today, for student section of the week, Caleb Spinner goes to TC. I'm not going to lie, that national anthem went disgustingly hard. If Caleb ended the story there, I would have been great with that. 10 out of 10, no notes. And as he said, hashtag SSOTW to win the chain for a week and potentially the season. You're watching Game Day Nation presented by Renewal by Anderson, a better way to a better window. If only we had a guitar in studio or something. I don't know.
St. Francis to me is something we haven't talked about enough. But we should.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we haven't spoken about St. Francis?
Because their games haven't been on our network on a Friday night.
They had a lot of trips up to Detroit. They've had, trips up and down.
But what has happened in those trips?
Real quick,
Well,
you got to remember, before last week, St. Francis was riding a 3-game losing streak.
They just beat Orchard Lake St. Mary's tonight. A very good team.
Last week, so now they're on a 2-game winning streak. But before that was a 3-game skid. That's a reason we had to
You can't win 2 games if you don't win 1. You can't get 3 if you don't win 2.
Brandon, real quick, you know I teach jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
You may need
I don't want the smoke in jiu-jitsu. I do not want the smoke in jiu-jitsu. I know you're a world champion.
You might need some lessons.
You might want to learn.
You, me, and jiu-jitsu.
You got it.
No, I'm not saying me and you. I'm saying just in case.
You got Coach Kaczmarek added to the list. Coach McDonald's going to be looking for you. Coach Dempsey's already settled his beef at least.
As I hate to compare this to what happened in the fall with Central Catholic football, but I based my ideals off what we've seen, right? What we know to be the case. I'll let you go.
We're going to add Coach Jones to the list.
Let me ask you, who are their losses to?
St. Francis?
Yep.
Brother Rice?
Great team.
Great team.
Elite team.
Okay, you can't go.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about teams under the radar. Elite teams. Central Catholic, elite. Right? Pretty darn good.
So if we get to the Catholic League tournament and St. Francis, let's say, loses to a Central Catholic or St. John's or Brother Rice, is that going to be the excuse heading into tournament time that we still believe in St. Francis because their losses are great losses?
Around here,
So there's no point to have this conversation then, because the losses should matter if we're looking at the outlook of this team in the tournament. Because when we get to the districts, the type of competition that St. Francis may see, we can look back at moments like this and say, well, St. John's was hot, so we kind of expect St. John's to get out of the district
Let me ask you
ahead
this.
of St. Francis.
Okay, let me rephrase this for you. In the Division II district, right? And I know it's sectioned off. There's 2 districts, 4 of each. And I can't, off the top of my head, remember who's where. But
It's been shuffled lately.
okay, so Lima's obviously outstanding.
Yeah,
right?
without question.
Okay.
Elite.
Anthony Wayne, St. Francis can beat them. Northeast, St. Francis can beat them. Who else is in D2?
St. John's.
St. John's. They beat St. John's. They split with St. John's this year. So why can't they?
Got Clay.
They can.
Clay in Division II.
We already established any given day. Anybody can be beat any given day.
Outside of
I'm saying
Lima, there's
if we're
nobody
making
in that district that
it'll be a
haven't beat.
blowout. Yeah, you're absolutely
have to win by
correct.
40.
Absolutely correct. There's no team in
One more
that
point.
district that I can say, besides maybe Lima Senior, that St. Francis, no way they could beat him. Anybody could be beat, but I can say the same thing about Anthony Wayne, and you guys can say the same thing about St. John's.
I thought we were talking about scary teams. I'm thinking first round.
Yeah,
like
but
under the radar teams who you may see in the first round.
Essentially, Anthony Wayne, St. John's. I mean, you may want to throw Start in there. Any of these teams could be scary.
All right.
But what are you basing that off of? We got to base it off the resume that we've seen right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But not all losses are the same. That's my point. Not all losses are the same. Those are elite losses.
And I fully agree. But if St. Francis is going to lose by 33 to Brother Rice, who's to say that they are going to beat a St. John's in a district final?
They already beat them.
Semifinals?
They already beat them.
They beat them once.
Yeah, but we got to look at what we've seen recently. What have you done for me lately? And lately,
Orchard Lake St. Mary.
Yo, Janet Jackson.
I'm a big Janet Jackson.
I'll give you my 2 to settle things at the table.
And what did we see from Anthony Wayne tonight? Coming back from double digits to beat Clay, albeit without his top 2 scores, but still a great come-from-behind win by the Generals. But as you were saying, Brendan.
Maumee Valley, there's one.
Yep.
I think their talent level, you include Kieran Stokes, of course, in our top
of
30
course.
list. Jabron Price, somebody I don't think we talk about enough, his talent level on that Maumee Valley squad. And then on the girls' side, I don't want to play Notre Dame. I don't want to play Coach Galloway's team. They've beaten Magnificat.
And
they just beat Gabriel Richard in a dominant fashion, a defensive masterpiece.
And they lost them a week and a half ago, and they blew the doors off the other night. And then
another
they got
team.
OG, who's undefeated. It was a 4-point game going in the 4th quarter. You got to remember this too. Coach Galloway's down to 6 varsity players due to injuries and whatnot, and what he's done over the last week. OG, I said 4-point game going to the 4th. You beat Gabriel Richard this week.
Just the
Imagine that
resume.
team
This
with
guy's
a
a winner.
healthy Joy Battle. Man,
This
that team.
guy's a winner. I could have gave you that answer last week.
And
Just
we
having him at this
somebody
desk.
we haven't seen a ton of, and he was in here with us last week too. The Start girls, so much talent across the board there. So many returning players from a great team last year.
That D2 district
It is
between
going to
Start, Northview, Anthony Wayne. Everybody's assuming Anthony Wayne's gonna run away with it. And if you're gonna say that, that's fine. But Coach Boyd, you called the game
with them. Start beating
Northview came
Northview.
back. What happens in
Northview.
Exactly. What happens in a third matchup between Anthony Wayne and Northview if the Wildcats can actually pull off a comeback this
I don't know, because I've seen this game play out two different ways.
Yeah.
You know, where in the first game, Northview jumped out hot. Anthony Wayne was good in the middle. Northview got hot in the fourth quarter and made a run. Last night, it was Anthony Wayne jumps out to a 30-9 lead. And where it's like, look, sayonara, all she wrote.
That's what it looked
and then
like.
all of a sudden, it's 10 at the half. It's a one-possession game in the third. It's a 2-point game with under a minute left. And, Anthony Wayne, to their credit, withstood the rally, got free throws down the stretch, and won. So I think what you're asking, Yaw, is what does a third game look like if it just played in a normal context without the big runs from either team, and it's more of a game of mini runs? I'd love to find out.
Very interesting.
But I will say about that start team, Brandon, that start team, physical.
Yeah.
Physical.
Number one way to describe it.
And that's one thing that will bother both teams is physicality.
And it showed it against Northview when they beat them over Christmas area.
Man. Here's a look at the final scores from today. Ottawa Hills getting a win in our game of the week over Toledo Christian. Sandusky giving Perkins its first loss of the season. Game Day Nation Overtime, hosted by Mark Coots, is coming up next. Have a great night.